Well, it's noon here on the East Coast in Bethesda, Maryland, and this is news that you can use from YAA for Thursday, June 30th, 2022. Hey, handsome, how are you today?
Pops, I think someone's at the door. Can you let him in?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God, it's Kelly, the car mom.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hey, Kelly, how are you? So glad that you're here with us. Thanks for joining.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be on my favorite show ever. Like, I'd rather be on here than Ellen or anything like that.
Well,
you think I'm kidding?
I don't think you're kidding, but Ellen doesn't have a show anymore. So.
Oh yeah. Well, then I guess I'm in the right spot.
I'm afraid you are.
Well, Kelly, we really appreciate you joining us. For those of you in the YAA community who are not familiar with Kelly, please take a moment to familiarize yourself with her. I'm going to share the screen really briefly, and then we're going to hop in to a couple really important topics today that we want to get Kelly's take on. But first, go on Instagram or even here on YouTube and type in The Car Mom. Kelly's been at it for almost 2 years now, about 2 years now. Just trying to be an advocate for consumers just like us. So please check out her on Instagram, on YouTube. And she also has the Carpool podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places.
Or wherever you find your podcasts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's jump into
Skechers.
Skechers is not a podcast app. Let's jump into things. And Kelly, we'll flip it over to you first. Cox Automotive released a mid-year report just the other day, and they have taken down their expectation for total vehicles sold, in particular, new cars. Well, also used cars, Dad. We'll get into the data here as a group. We're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown in the automotive market. Have you seen that as well from your vantage point, from your community? It seems like things are slowing down just a little bit.
I do think my community is a little unique in the sense that a lot of them are mothers or families who have to upgrade their vehicles. I think that if you don't have to buy a car right now, that's great. But I've got 300,000 mothers who are pregnant and need to upgrade their vehicle. So my community is not slowing down. They're still very much needing to upgrade their family vehicles. I don't have a lot of people, and I haven't had a lot of people upgrading for fun in a while. So I haven't seen it slowing down, but if it's slowing down for the people who don't have to upgrade for family reasons, I know that'll be better for everybody.
Yeah, and I know that I think at the beginning of the year, Cox Automotive predicted that we would see a little over 16 million new cars sold in this country for this year, and then they lowered their guesstimate. And that we have to remember, these are always guesstimates. They lowered their guesstimate to like 15.3 million, and now they're down to 14.4 million. And I think there's any number of reasons for that. Notwithstanding inflation, the price of gas, and the increasing rise in interest rates. So they're just making cars less and less affordable for more and more people.
But it does create this kind of interesting opportunity. I pulled the data up on the screen. You can see here, this comes directly from Cox Automotive. Every single thing, every box that has a red down arrow, that indicates a decrease in their estimate from Q1. So quarter over quarter, Cox Automotive has said, okay, we think new sales are going to be down. We think new retail sales, that's excluding fleet sales.
Yes.
We think fleet sales are going to be down. We think lease volume is going to be down. We think used sales are going to be down. This bodes well for the group of people who have been waiting, because as sales go down, if vehicles are able to be produced, you should be able to theoretically get a better deal. Now, Dad, that actually reminds me, Kelly posted on her Instagram just the other day asking her community, how long have you been waiting for different vehicles that you've purchased? And unfortunately, and we're in the Toyota factory today. That's our background. Unfortunately, people are waiting months and months and months. And you read headlines like the ones we were talking about just the other day from Toyota. They're cutting back production more and more and more. The story, unfortunately, Kelly, seems to be the same.
Yeah, it's I just wanted to ask my audience, because I think we're all getting these mixed reviews, and obviously it's difficult to trust the dealers because they have difficulties trusting the manufacturers. They're being told 6 to 8 weeks, and then it's 6 to 8 months, and it's not coming with heated seats anymore. It's just, the ordering process is so, I think, scary and disheartening and expensive right now. So I just wanted to ask, just to get a general idea of what actual people are going through. And if it was under 4 months, it was it was an outlier, and most were between the 6 year mark for some of the SUVs.
And as somebody whose family's in the automobile business and has dealerships, I mean, you know as well as I do that everything we did in the industry was predicated on having inventory in stock so somebody could go home with their vehicle today. And this whole idea of people having to wait 4, 6, 8, 10 months to get a car is just totally changing the retail automobile side of things in a manner that I never thought we would see, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's putting a lot of people in serious binds because not only are they not their promised delivery dates are rarely happening. And I think a lot of the people car shopping are like, oh, I got my name and they said 4 months, and then they kind of stop the shopping process. And I've told several of my people to be like, hey, if it's a non-refundable deposit, go put it down on 3 dealerships. I'm sorry, if it's a refundable
If
deposit,
it's a refundable deposit,
yeah,
yes,
go put it down on 3 dealerships because you need a car, and I can't guarantee that no one can guarantee that it's going to get to you in time. And then you also have to think about the people who find themselves in a pinch when their engine goes out or they get in an accident and their vehicle gets totaled. And those are the people who I'm really sympathizing with in this current market because they are left with very few options.
Yeah, they really are. And then can I put something on both of your guys' radar? And I know we're only about 5 minutes in to the show, but can I do a very quick and early? Really, you've got to be kidding me. Would that be okay?
Well,
Yeah,
you run the damn show. Yeah.
I love this.
Really? You gotta be kidding me.
Now, I don't spend a ton of time on Reddit. I really don't, because it's just a bit of it's a scary place.
I'm so
to be.
excited.
Salesperson said they are buying their cars from manufacturer for over MSRP. That's BS, right? I was under the impression they still make money at MSRP in the current climate. Didn't make the deal anyway, $10,000 markup, and I was only able to get them down to $7,000 in markup, which is still 25% over MSRP for this particular car. We're going to do a quick rapid fire. Which OEM, which manufacturer do you think this is? 25%? Pop's putting you first. Who do you think? What brand?
Ford.
You think it's Ford? Kelly, what do you think?
I think it's Nissan.
I'm going Kia, guys. I think it's got to be Kia. But anyway, between the three of us, it's gonna be one of those. This is the type of stuff people are running into. And of course, I mean, this is a ha 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 ha.
Yes.
That's a effing lie. We're not going to say that on the show, obviously. So that's the type of stuff people are then dealing with. Is they're going out and they're being told, well, you know what? The MSRP has actually been raised last week. I charged you $10,000 over. It's unfathomable.
Yeah, no, the dealership doesn't get charged MSRP. I mean, if the dealership got charged MSRP, then the dealership wouldn't want to be in the automobile retail business. Every retail business buys at wholesale and then sells somewhere above that. That's how they make a profit. And the manufacturer doesn't suddenly say to the dealership, well, for now on, forget wholesale. You're paying retail for all your cars. No, it doesn't work like that. That was just an out and out lie from that salesperson.
It is kind of interesting, though, that they haven't tried to do anything like that, because I would be curious to know, like, how. I mean, I know from the dealership standpoint, like, they're having killer months, like, we're having very profitable years. But what about the manufacturers? They're not producing the vehicles they used to. They can't, like you said, they can't charge more for their vehicles to the dealership. They can raise their price a little bit, but I don't know much about like how their financial situations are.
I've got man. Thank you for queuing me up like that. I really appreciate it. Let me share my screen because actually I was interested in doing some research about this, and Cox Automotive recently put out an opinion piece, and it's titled "Who Will Automakers Listen to? The Angels or the Devils?"
Cute title.
I think if I'm not mistaken, who is this? Brian is probably watching some of our YouTube videos. Brian, well done on the clickbait. Really, really, really solid.
Yeah, he learned from a master, from you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can see here, according to SEC filings, Ford Motor Company's margins dropped to 3% in 2019 when they were well above 10% in the past. So automakers have actually struggled with their margins in recent years. Now, the credit sides of these, the captive lenders of these organizations have actually become powerhouses of profit within the entity. But we've seen profits for companies like Ford, for example, actually decline in recent years.
Yeah, but they're also, even though they're producing fewer vehicles, they figured out how to lower their costs. Kelly knows as well as I do that in the past, I mean, there were a tremendous amount of incentives from the manufacturers to both the retail customer and the dealer. Well,
used to be so
guess
fun.
what they're not really offering today is they're very limited incentives. In most cases, less than $1,000 when they used to be $3,000 to $4,000. So there's very limited consumer incentives, and I don't really know of very many manufacturers that are offering sales objective incentives for their dealer body anymore that they're going to reward them on, because well, they can't guarantee that they can produce the cars so that you can hit those numbers. So they've saved money there.
Well, and now several have also, with the no longer allowing the third-party buyouts of the leases, and like with them guaranteeing to get their leases back and get them CPO'd, that's probably been a little bit of a way to make some money as well.
What do you make of that news? We've talked a lot about Ford over the past couple of weeks for a variety of reasons. We were even live on one show and tweeting with the head of product communications for Ford at the same time. You know, obviously they're struggling with the markups of their electric vehicles, but there was some pretty significant news just this week about at the end of leases from Ford for electric vehicles, you will not have the option to buy them out. What do you make of that, Kelly? And do you see even within your community, are people intimidated by leasing? Because I kind of sense that most people are.
Well, I think, especially with the way the current lease prices stand, absolutely no one will be leasing. The lease payments are incredibly expensive. There's no leasing incentives. And now you don't even have the benefit of the Ford EV world to be able to buy it at the end of your lease. So I would not lease an EV that from Ford. That would be stupid. Leasing overall, though, my community responds pretty well to. I think like when you have a growing family, like, you know, twins happen, or you have more kids than you thought. So like the last thing I want someone to do, and what I preach against, is like, if your family's still growing, we're not getting into a 72-month loan on a Honda Pilot. Like, we're just not doing that, because next thing you know, you've got 4 kids and now you need a Ford Expedition and you're, you know, a couple grand upside down. So I really push leasing. I used to push a lot more when I felt like the payments were better and it was a better deal, but lately it's harder to get excited about. But isn't it true that Tesla also does that, where they don't allow customers to buy their leases out? So I think that that's kind of helped with some of the shock behind the whole thing, because I had several people who I think had been in the EV market that now maybe were interested in the Lightning or the Mach-E be like, oh, well, that's how Tesla is, so that doesn't really bother me.
I mean, Tesla's been doing it, and their spin on it was and continues to be, which is truly hilarious, in my opinion. We need to get all those vehicles back because they're going to be part of our autonomous driving fleet.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh.
Which we are clearly decades away from, or at least a decade away from. The layoffs at Tesla the other day kind of indicate that, at least that's how I interpret them. And Ford's, obviously, their spin on it was, well, we want to do a better job recycling batteries. You know, I think back to, and Kelly, you will not have known this about me, and heck, I don't think anyone in the audience will have known this about me. I had a website maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was called carsubscriptionreviews.com. Maybe this was even like 8 years ago. I was just like reviewing the different upcoming car subscription options that are out there. And as we all know, they've kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, where are those? Yeah, that was like the biggest thing.
It was the biggest thing. It was like, subscribe to your Porsche, or even they went to the dealerships and were like, create your own subscription, you know, products for your customers to swap out cars. I think we're slowly but surely moving back towards that. You're not going to lease, you're going to subscribe to your F-150 Lightning for 2 years. That's what it's going to be.
Have you guys heard of what VinFast is doing? VinFast is a new EV startup. They had like a huge thing at the New York Auto Show. And now you lease the car and then you lease the battery separate. Like, so dramatic. So I wonder if we see more things like, okay, you can lease the battery and then you can also lease the car and then you can also pay for this amount of mileage. Like, it's just, yeah, it's very interesting.
What if you just want a battery?
Not sure that's an option. It was, they're like, well, sorry. Yeah, you can only lease the batteries.
Well, okay, what if you just want the car, but you don't want the battery?
You're not going to move anywhere.
Yeah, it's just a paperweight.
You're asking the right questions.
Sure. The whole thing is, I mean, and I really believe if subscriptions are done right, that could be the future.
I
But I
agree.
think the reason it hasn't been recently is just because there's such a shortage of cars that, you know, the manufacturers have really put themselves in a position that they can't support any type of real subscription program at the moment. But I think once the level of production increases significantly, we might see subscription services come back. I always thought, I know I had looked at the Volvo one,
Yeah,
you know,
Volvo.
where you had to stay in it a minimum of 3 months. It covered insurance, it covered maintenance, you could change cars, and it was relatively reasonably priced. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't have cars to do the subscription service with.
Can I give you guys some context there? Back to this angels versus devils piece. The author here says, before the pandemic, North American auto manufacturing ran at only 80% capacity.
Wow.
Today, it ranges from 40 to 65% as part shortages drag on. Domestic production has fallen from 300,000 units a month to 120,000 based on the Bureau of Economic Analysis. There's not a single car company that's satisfied with this level of plant utilization, as Cox Automotive executive analyst Michelle Krebs wrote in a June 16th Cox Automotive Newsroom article, quote, new vehicle inventory remained at the same level it has been for months in May, according to Cox Automotive's analysis of V-Auto available inventory data, despite comments from some automotive executives that the global computer chip shortage is easing and vehicle production is resuming to normal levels. That one gets that is BS. We saw some headlines that things are easing. Okay, but inventory levels haven't moved at all. It's because the plants are running at half capacity.
Right.
And you would think long term that's not really sustainable. Because one of the ways you recoup your plant costs is by the number of vehicles that you produce. The more you can produce, suddenly it becomes easier and easier to absorb all those plant costs, and they go down. So if they're running at 50% of capacity, obviously they really do want to get that back up to, my guess would be 75 to 80% of capacity once again. You would think.
Kind of have to. Kelly, I've got a question for you. I know I was following you on, or I always have followed you on Instagram, and you were driving a Pacifica with the electric powertrain recently. And part of the reason I bring this up is because this article goes on to talk about, and Justin on our team has done a great job documenting this as well. There's nearly or more than $500 billion tied up in EV investments over the next decade. $500 billion. That's a lot of money. And you recently had a really positive experience with the Pacifica. What's your take on EVs, broadly speaking? And actually, because you have such access to such an incredible community, how do you sense your community feels about electric vehicles as well?
So it's such a good question. So this is shocking. So I recently polled my audience and I said, are you ready to go EV? I had 60,000 women fill out the survey. 75% said no. So now things like range anxiety are a big one. So they're not really ready. I also think that when you think about medium to large size families or anyone needing a large SUV, we've really been left out of the EV hybrid market and world a little bit, which has been frustrating, I think, for a lot of my following, because we're in some of the least fuel efficient cars. I drive a Ford Expedition to fit my family, not by choice, because that's the space that I need. And well, I guess kind of by choice, whatever. But anyway, we don't have the hybrid or EV vehicles. Like, all the manufacturers are really to push out like a Hyundai Ioniq 5, a Kia EV6. And we're over here like, well, what if we could just get a hybrid Palisade? So I'm really hoping that the push for electric, I'm good with it. I like electric vehicles. I think we need to get some more hybrids into the market, specifically plug-in hybrids, to give people the practice of, okay, you plug it in, but don't worry, you still have a gas engine. The Pacifica Pinnacle hybrid was a fabulous car. You get 32 miles of electric range. The average driver's commute is, I think, 39 miles a day. So a lot of people in the country will be able to just drive off of electric. You plug it in, you still have a gas engine that still acts as a hybrid and still gets around 29 miles per gallon, which is incredible for a three-passenger car. So if I had it my way, I would make all the popular cars that we already love, I know fit families safely, into hybrids instead of constantly coming out with compact electric SUVs. That's where I'm getting frustrated. And I think what's been so interesting is these manufacturers taking the truck route and completely bypassing some of the SUVs. So like, why are we all excited to get these trucks out before we're excited to get some of these like big gas guzzlers for families, even as a hybrid? It's just been interesting.
You would almost think that you would want to get the families behind it as opposed to construction workers behind it. You know,
I agree. We're an easier market. I believe that.
yes, and I agree with you with hybrids. I think hybrids make all the sense in the world because they, in my mind, can be the bridge that leads people to full EVs going
Totally agree.
forward. And
Totally agree.
I think that makes all the sense in the world. Now, you and I, we're not getting paid to help these car manufacturers figure out what to build and who they should build them for. They depend on themselves for that.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I mean, I had someone in our community send me an Instagram DM just the other day with a Hummer EV being sold at a Mitsubishi dealership with, I think it was 300 miles on it for $300,000. And all I could think of in that moment is just like, I was obviously very young back in 08. I guess I was like 12 or 13 years old, whatever it was back then. Weren't there Hummers that were selling for a lot of money, costed a lot of money to maintain, that were super impractical, and that was like the kind of a foreboding signal of something bad happening? Like, I so much agree with you, Kelly. I actually admire Toyota's approach with sticking with hybrids.
I could not agree more. And it's almost like a little bit of a slap in the face, because I'm like, okay, so you obviously can make a Hummer EV with 1,000 horsepower in it. I think you could probably come out with like a nice hybrid Yukon that we could all be driving as well. Like, it's just, it makes you think like, okay, so do you guys really care? Like, are we really trying to get more fuel efficient cars out on the road? Because selling 3 Hummer EVs a year is not going to make near the dent that even like an active. Yeah, I'm very excited with what Toyota's done. And I think Chrysler's doing a good job, or Jeep's doing a good job specifically as well, because now they've got the Pacifica, the new Jeep 4xe. I love it. I drove it. It's a fabulous hybrid. And what's great about that car is it allows the driver to pick how they want to drive. So you can either drive on all electric, you can drive on hybrid, or you can drive on all gas. And they presented it in a way where it's like, so that way, you know, if you want to save your range, if you're going camping and you want to have some electric, when you get there, you can just drive it in gas and then save your battery. So they're creating great hybrids. Toyota creates great hybrids. Everyone else is just trying to come out with a clickbaity electric car. I said what I said.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
Would you be surprised if 2 years from now, Pops, 2 years from now, the headlines aren't, we're going all EV by 2030. We're now aiming for, I don't know, like 60% hybrid, 20. Like, you know, the headlines are just going to be walking back what they said in 2022.
Well, hybrids are the bridge. They're literally the bridge. That's what'll take people from gas-powered vehicles to ultimately all electric vehicles. You can't just flip a switch and think people are going to give up gas-powered vehicles so that they can go into electric vehicles. You have to give them a pathway there. And hybrids are what give them that pathway. And, you know, from the retail side of things, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I saw manufacturers come out with cars that you would sit there on the retail side and say, how did anybody sign off on this project? I mean, what was the thinking behind saying, yeah, we need the Acura ZDX? You know, there's just...
You're a ZDX basher, man.
Well, I lived through it. They couldn't sell them. The only way Acura could sell them was to make their dealers buy them. So
that's too funny.
Well, it makes you wonder what the thought process is at some of these manufacturers as to what it is they design, what it is they give the green light to build, and do they really take into consideration what people want?
Now, to further solidify the Toyota argument, I'm going to pull up this tweet was posted by a car dealership guy, an anonymous Twitter account.
Yes,
that's really good. Someone that's in the industry. This is a snapshot from the lane, from the wholesale used car auction.
Lane. Yeah.
A 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime XSE with 12,000 miles on it sold for $62,750 yesterday.
Yeah. $1,450 above the MMR. That's crazy.
That's the MSRP.
Okay.
So honestly, I don't necessarily. I mean, yeah, sure, we have the Teslas of the world. Oops, did we lose Kelly there? Looks like we may have lost Kelly. Oh, unfortunately. Hopefully she comes back in just a second. So, Pops, it seems like it's pretty clear that people want to have hybrid powertrains. And of course, we're seeing a lot of push on, Tesla prices and things like that just as well. No, it's okay. I think it's the best point I made all show, but we can just run it back later. Oh, no, we lost you again, Kelly. You there?
We lost her again.
All right, we'll try again. Oh, there she is. Hey, Kelly, can you hear us?
Speak or forever hold your peace. Oh.
All right. Well, it seems like our time with the car mom may have been cut short. Happy to try again one more time here in just a second. We're getting a little bit of an echo for a moment there. Just give me a thumbs up, Kelly, when you think you've got it situated on your end. I know we want to take a moment, Dad, and actually transition and talk a little bit about a story we had earlier in the week as well. Would love to be able to get Kelly's take on it, but we have an update on Aaron, who had bought a car. It was getting delivered, then it wasn't getting delivered. His first loan payment was coming due.
Yes.
The dealership had to pay the loan. We've got an update on that story. Let's give Kelly just another minute here to see if she can rejoin us and get back on. In the meantime, Pops.
There she is. Let's try her.
All right, let's see.
I'm back, but I'm wondering if you guys still have the echo.
No,
Okay.
I don't hear an echo.
Hi, Kelly.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you back.
I don't know what happened there.
All right, let's transition over to Aaron's story. We've been following this now for about 2 weeks. Aaron is a community member who I was just queuing it up. I'll pull it up on the screen. Let's all walk through it. We now have a third update. Originally, we received this email. I purchased a new 2022 F-150 from a dealership in Dallas, Texas on April 30th. They said delivery was scheduled to happen on May 6th. The long and short of it here is the vehicle wasn't getting delivered. However,
still hasn't
been delivered. However, Aaron's first loan payment was coming due on June 14th. He sent us this email on June 20th.
Yeah, that's only because it was set up as 45 days to the first payment, so that would be about right.
So, Pops, what happened here, and Kelly, what happened here is Aaron ordered a vehicle.
He didn't order it.
Okay.
This
break it down.
This is the confusion. He did not order it. They said it was built. They had a VIN number. They had an estimated time of delivery to the dealership. So it wasn't an ordered vehicle. It was a built vehicle that was allegedly in transit. Huge difference. Which is why they paper delivered him and started his car loan with the credit union. Because they had the VIN and everything else.
So we got an update from. Oh, you there, Kelly? Oh, all right. We will have to have you back on the show. Okay. Sadly, get an echo there. Pops, we can ditch the headphones. Kelly, we'll have to have you back on the show. Thank you for being here with us. Again, everyone, please check out Kelly on YouTube and also on Instagram and everything.
At the Car Mom.
Yes, with underscores and all that fun stuff. So, okay, they paper delivered it.
Yes.
Now, what is the update? We got the update from Aaron, the third update. I'll pull it up on the screen. Give me 1 second. It was a doozy here, Pops.
Yes.
A long update. What's the long and short of it? How did this dealership remediate the fact that they
didn't have a vehicle? Well, the way they remediated it is they found a dealership that had a similar vehicle. It wasn't the V8, it was a V6 EcoBoost. And they did a dealer trade and they brought the vehicle in for him. It was a slightly more expensive vehicle, and they ate the difference in cost. And then they added additional equipment, and they had made his first car payment for him. All in all, he ended up probably somewhere around $4,000 less than what he initially would have had to spend for the vehicle, because the dealership knew, the general manager knew, whether the sales manager and the salespeople and the F&I manager and everybody else that put this whole thing together realized it, but they had committed fraud in the sense that, well, they had told the bank that, well, he bought a truck truck exists. It just isn't here yet, and he hasn't been able to physically take delivery because it hasn't been delivered to the dealership yet. Well, that creates issues for the dealership. So the general manager did what he needed to do in order to resolve it, and it cost the dealership probably somewhere around $4,000 or more in order to keep Aaron happy and get him in his new vehicle. And they did a substitution of collateral with the credit union, and Aaron was able to pick up his new truck yesterday.
Yes, and we have a photo of the new truck. Let's pull it up on the screen here, Pops. Whoopsies, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here it is. And it seems like that, if I'm not mistaken, he's riding on some Ray Shefska stamp of approval.
He has
rims.
Some custom rims, ladies and gentlemen. Bless you, Aaron, for figuring out how to do that.
Yeah, Aaron photoshopped those rims on.
Yeah.
So ultimately, they put him in a substitute vehicle because they don't. I mean, it's just incredible, Dad. This is truly we did a video obviously on the YA channel.
Yes.
You have never heard of this happening, and it is such a travesty because it is. You're saying, it's fraud.
Absolute. There's no other word for it. And allegedly the general manager chastised the staff by in front of Aaron by saying, this is the stickiest situation I've ever had to get out of in 28 years in the business. And I can honestly tell you, having spent 43 years in the business, I had issues that I had to try and take care of, but never one quite as sticky as this. Similarly sticky, but not quite as sticky as this.
We'll have to save that for another show.
Oh yeah. And I can assure you that those that were involved in that sticky situation that I had to get the dealership out of, well, that gentleman was let go as a result of what had transpired. So you can't put a dealership in that type of position that they put this dealership in, and the general manager recognized it and spent whatever it took to get out of it. Aaron comes out ahead, but this is not the way it should actually have to happen.
And from Igor here in the chat, I would fire everyone who was involved in this guy's deal if it was done at one of my at my automotive group. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let me put one more thing on the screen, and then we're going to call it a show.
Okay.
Christine Wilson, she was the dissenting vote, one of the FTC commissioners who had a dissenting vote on the rules that are intended to help regulate car dealerships and protect consumers from what I'll just say is malpractice. I didn't know that she was on Twitter until I got tagged in a tweet. Jody Presti said, why did Christine Wilson dissent on notice of proposed regulations and tagged me at Shefska?
Yes.
Please, if you're going to tag Christine Wilson, which you should, this is me publicly saying to the 500 or so people who are here with us, please consider tagging at Christine Wilson, FTC. Tag me as well. I'll retweet them. Yeah. You can tag at join YAA as well. Let's let her know that, hey, there's people talking about this and people who want to better understand. Maybe we just don't understand something. Maybe we just don't understand something about this, but we want to better understand why you're not interested in supporting the rules and regulations that are intended to protect consumers when they buy a car.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Maybe she'll change her mind.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe she'll join us on a show.
Yes.
We actually just the other day, someone from NPR contacted us to have my dad on their show in July. So, I mean, thank you to everyone who supports the community. We've got obviously a little bit of sway here. Let's try and put it towards good use. And go ahead and get out there and get your Ray 22s. Exclusively at joinyaa.com.
Yeah. And I don't want you to think we're not going to be making any money on those, baby.
I'm putting them back up on the screen again. If you do not have your Ray 22s, again, they ride a little.
They ride a bit rough.
A little rough.
Yeah. And they're probably a little dry rotted and old. But they're guaranteed to give you a laugh or two before they blow out.
All right, Pops, that was quite fun. Kelly, the car mom, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kelly.
Pops, we'll do it again on Monday. I'm going to be live tomorrow with Miss Kimberly Klein and Phil from the YAA team.
How are we doing it Monday?
We'll do it Tuesday.
Yeah, we're flying back Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Get that guy off.
Fine. We have moderators. We have moderators.
So we'll be back Tuesday. Everybody enjoy your long 4th of July weekend. We're planning to by attending the Montreal Jazz Festival Friday through Monday.
Yeah, should be a good time.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here Tuesday at noon with more news that you can use. That's noon Eastern.